In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Bryan Frye, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbardis, Lizzie Haynes, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
Welcome all you lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. Welcome to the show where we watch movies and then talk about them. I am your host, Russell Guest, and joining me today are my good friends and co-hosts, plural, coming to you from the Lilac City of Spokane, Washington, Mr. Bryan Frye. How you doing, sir?
Good evening, all. Thanks for coming and listening to our show.
All right, and coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, Mr. Dustin Melbardis.
Well, by the time this releases, the finals are probably over and done. But right now, it's Pacers time, baby.
Easy. I'm not paying attention to that right now.
Oh, no, I don't want to hype him up.
No. That I get off here. I go down to my recorded video, and then I start from scratch.
Well, the only thing that gets you more excited than your Pacers is having a dealer's choice. So this will be your dealer's choice.
That's a good night. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good night. So speaking of that, and in theme with that, of what today's movie is, you're making a movie. You're going to need a hitman for the main character. Who are you casting as your hitman? And it could be any kind of movie. It could be serious, could be dramatic, could be funny. Tell us who's your lead actor and what kind of hitman movie are you going to make, Bryan?
I'm going to go with Josh Brolin. Off-time killer, zero-time hitman. He's been in movies with hitmen, but he's never been the hitman. Josh Brolin's my hitman.
I like it. Dustin, how about you? Who's your hitman?
I came in with options. Adrian Brody, Alfie Allen, Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, I don't know if it's because of the content of the show lately, but I feel like movies about assassins just don't miss. Pardon the pun. Elijah Wood is Kevin from Sin City.
Oh, Kevin was great.
He was a killer.
How good was Kevin?
Hey, check this out. Old Harrison Ford. He's not on adventures anymore. He's just hunting down Nazis. We call it Cindiana Bones. And he's just out there just killing. He's not punching out. He's just a killer now. I think assassin movies just work. So I got a bunch of names.
All right.
Should have brought a gun. Pow. Should have brought a gun. Pow.
All right. I'm going with a funny one. I would like to see a fast-talking, smooth-operating Eddie Murphy doing the hitman role in a comedy.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I feel like it would be his life outside of being a hitman that would have to be fun and full of whimsy and like people to talk to. I don't want him cracking wise as he like go run somebody.
I want him talking very quickly and like trying to obtain information. So I'm imagining somebody wants to knock him off. So he's going through killing other people, trying to figure out who's coming after him. And it's a mystery kind of thing. And so he's trying to get information from people and interrogating people, talking very fast. And
we are writing movies.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, if you want to pay us millions of dollars to produce a movie, we could do it.
We're here.
There's three of us, three stories right now. I mean, just, let's make movies.
We're available like one night every 2 weeks.
Hey, man, you pay me enough. You can lock me in a room for 6 months, man. Let's go.
What's the last movie you saw, Bryan?
I finally saw Brave New World. Captain America, Brave New World. It was watchable.
Oh, okay. I had higher hopes than that. I haven't seen it yet.
I'll put it thoroughly middle of the pack for Marvel. Like there was nothing where I was cheering, nothing that blew my mind. Super excited. Well, I don't want to ruin anything for you. Super excited by a couple nuggets that they entered in there, but yeah, I mean it was fine. I like Anthony Mackie. I like some of the character introductions that they made. That some people that needed to be inserted into the thing. Sebastian Stan has a great cameo post Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah, I mean there's some benefits to it, but I mean I'll put it like somewhere in the 50 to 65 range in terms of Marvel. No, I'm just saying, like, if
I know there's a bunch.
Thor Dark World is 0 and, In-Game or something is 100, like, it's, it's middle of the pack.
Okay. All right, Dustin, how about you? Did you see anything better than Just Fine?
Yeah, I did, and it was an A24 movie. The month of April, I had some time to watch some movies. Of course, I don't watch anything new, but from 2016, I watched Green Room, which is about a touring band that goes and they've got a gig at a like this warehouse party or this warehouse club, and it turns out that all the clientele are white supremacists, and so they have an immediate like reaction to this. And within 15 to 20 minutes, they are in kind of this lockdown, shootout, high stress situation. And the rest of the movie, how it plays out, is really surprising and really fun. So it gets my recommendation. Green Room.
All right. Yeah. Despicable Me 3 was the last movie that I saw. I quite enjoyed Despicable Me's 1 and 2. 3, you're starting to get a diminished returns at that point, but, had a fun time watching it with the family.
We need a Hitman Minion.
I do love the Minions. I mean, we've been saturated with Minion content at this point, but they make me happy always. So
we need a dark blue Minion who is out there taking out other Minions.
One of the absolute greatest crossover pieces was whoever decided to say Nikola Jokic looked like Gru. Like, I love it so much. And the fact that he showed up to a game dressed as Gru, way to turn into it, man. Way to turn into it.
I like it. All right. Well, what movie are we covering today, Bryan?
Grosse Pointe Blank, man. This is a fantastic 90s dark comedy. I'll even go so far as to call it a cult comedy.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I think we can call this a cult classic. Now, this movie stars John Cusack, Minnie Driver, Alan Arkin, Dan Aykroyd, and Joan Cusack. Released in 1997, as you mentioned. Budgeted for $15 million. Grosses almost twice that at $28 million domestically. Places in the box office at 74th. So, solid, profitable movie. Comes in behind Father's Day and just above The Edge. Number 1 movie from 1997 was Titanic, which is a movie we covered here on the Retro Movie Roundtable. IMDb gives Grosse Pointe Blank a 7.3. The critics of Rotten Tomatoes liked it quite a bit at 82%. The audience score is 86%. It's right about there. Surprisingly, no awards to really talk about here, but I think we're going to talk about it a fair bit here. Bryan, this is a dealer's choice for you. You helped select this one, so you've seen it before probably. Tell us what your background is with it. When did you first see it? Why do you like this thing?
I truly wish I could remember how I first saw this movie. It was probably somewhere in the... I don't think I saw it when it came out, so I'm gonna say it's probably somewhere in the early 2000s, picking up movies at the local thrift shop. And I'm a huge Cusack fan anyway. Better Off Dead really led the Cusack charge for me. And so I snagged this one, and man, I'll battle with myself on this later, but I want to say it's my favorite Cusack movie. It's just so witty in the worst sort of way. Like it's 100% my type of humor. And it opened up a couple actors to me that I wasn't that familiar with at the time, but now are more household names. So yeah, I don't know. Loved it.
So Bryan, you've been watching this movie. It's a little unclear when you first came to it, but given that you've seen this movie several times, how to rewatch is change it for you? Coming back to it and studying it closer, how's that changing it for you?
I got really excited because it was something I'd kind of like forgotten about a little bit for a while. And the best part of it was once light bulb went on, and I was like, oh dude, we should do Grosse Pointe Blank. I've watched it like 7 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it was a nice, how do you do, a nice reinvestment in the film. And it's going to be one of those things that I really, pay attention to more. It's probably going to be in a more regular rotation now.
All right. We love it. Dustin, how about you? Had you seen Grosse Pointe Blank before?
I'm trying to think back to when I first saw it 2 days ago. That's right. It's another new movie. And I
Oh,
thank you for introducing something new. That's a hit. That's a hit for Bryan. This is something I had not seen before. And based on the title, had no idea what it could be about. Saw John Cusack on the front, said, okay, cool. Because unlike Bryan, I'm not the biggest John Cusack fan because I just haven't watched enough. There are those actors that I've seen half of, or some of, or most of their filmography. For Cusack, it's mainly just been here or there, spot movies that I've seen. And so what I got was we got the whole Cusack family in this thing, and a lot of other fun actors. This was, I think we brought it up in our sort of icebreaker question, is that I think Hitman movies just don't miss. I love the world of that can be created with assassins, obviously with John Wick, that really took off in the last 10 to 12 years. But they've always been good. And this is along the lines of like a Fish Called Wanda style of comedy coming at you from different perspectives in the middle of this world. And it's pretty heavily juxtaposed of trying to fit like normality in right next to this very cold, lack of morals type of world. And the movie does a great job in not being overly dramatic. The movie is fun to watch all the way through, all 103 minutes. So thanks for introducing it.
All right.
I thought you'd be happy with the time on the
I'm
film
happy.
too.
I was happy
I
with
was
that
like,
time. Yeah. Yeah. Did not feel as if like I needed to, how do I put it? Like think to myself, like, can we get to the end? And instead, this was one of those few where I'm like, man, I'm really liking the interactions between these characters. Dare I say, I wanted more.
My coming to this is like you, Bryan. Definitely didn't see it, didn't know about it in 1997. I know I saw this probably late college, maybe early upon graduating from college. Mary picked it out and said, like, let's check this out. We're both like Cusack, and this movie was a hit. We both absolutely loved it. And it was one of those things of, I had heard it mentioned, again, that cult film kind of way of, some people were like, I love Grosse Pointe Blank. You're like, I don't know what that is. And I like how much you like it. That's really exciting. And so you might have been a contributor towards that. Bryan, I'm not sure the timelines on all that, but certainly when I got to it, I really had a lot of fun. Like you said, it was this twisting of dark humor, but it's presented in a very light manner. And honestly, the dramatic romance part of it, we keep talking about the hitman, the action, and that, but it's a good love story. Like, so it's really good at three things. It's funny, it's exciting, the action is genuinely exciting, and the romance and the sweet stuff is actually good. So it's an extremely strong movie on three fronts.
I don't know if I can back this up under scrutiny, but this might have been my first introduction to a truly soundtrack-driven film.
It has strong use of the music. I figured that would be a big hit for both of you.
And I don't mean that in terms of a film having a good soundtrack. I mean that the soundtrack was like a necessity for the film.
Like The Graduate?
I'm not gonna jump in.
Bryan has two middle fingers for me right now.
I saw.
Asterisk fingers, asterisk.
I think the thing that's great about it is that it is a 1996, 1997 soundtrack. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that it is as impactful to the total movie as, for instance, 3 years prior with Pulp Fiction or some of our things since then. But I did like it. There are times when, I mean, we just did I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I actually think that soundtrack kind of took away from that movie. And with this one here, I'm not going to say that it was like mind-blowingly impactful, but it was fun. It added to the fun. I would even say it's a fourth front there, Russell.
No, but that's my point, is there are movies that have music and movies that use music. This movie used the music.
I feel you, and I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I purchased this from a used DVD store, and much like you, Frye, because I saw it, and I think I probably got it off of one of the TV cable channels where you could put it on your DVR or something. And anyway, I purchased it, and I did a bad thing. I set it on the shelf, and I did not watch it. I know I didn't watch it because I sometimes don't take the price tag off until I have watched it as a reminder. Make sure this used DVD is not jacked up, so don't take the price tag off. And so, unfortunately, it just sat on my shelf as a collector's item until this podcast, and I know that I paid $4 for it, and that is a very good investment of $4. So, very worth my money.
I hate to say it, but that's what happens to me now with Criterion, where I'm like, I'm going to get this fancy version of this movie and take it home and watch it. And then I'm like, wow, absolutely nobody wants to watch this with me right now. So it sits on the shelf in its full wrapping. And I'm like, okay, then.
I don't use AI in my daily life, but I think I would attempt to teach an AI to draw me a picture of Bryan swimming through his DVD collection like Scrooge McDuck. That's what I want to see. I'm sure it could do it. When you talked about people recommending this movie, I was teaching one of my front desk associates about how to delight a guest, and I'm like, hey, let's make 2 drinks like that, and we're going to go take these 2 guests that they're alone by the pool. And as I was down there, one of the women in the pool said, "Oh, you've got a great voice." I said, "Well, if you want to hear more of me, you can tune into the Retro Movie Roundtable." And they said, "What are you recording next?" And I brought up, "We're doing Grosse Pointe Blank this Friday." And they were like, "Oh," they both fell about. Like, "I love this. Oh, Cusack, lady!" Like, it was great. So this is one of those that people have more recognition for than I would have thought.
Yeah. So I got to say, coming back to it though, is one of those things where you never know you like a movie, but it's probably been, I don't know, maybe even 10 years since you'd seen it, and like you didn't like. I remembered it, it was just like a pair of old shoes, and like you said, Bryan, why have I not watched this?
Yeah,
I've owned it. It's been accessible. It's been just right
I don't
reach.
I don't remember how it came up, but this movie came up in casual conversation, and the light bulb was, how have I not done this as a dealer's choice yet? Like, this is tailor made for a dealer's choice.
Well, we're going to talk about this. We're going to spoil this movie. I don't think this is a movie you want spoiled. This is a movie you want to watch. So definitely watch it if you haven't seen it. We'll be back after these messages.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason. And this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we're finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments, too.
It's the All 80s Movies Podcast, now available on all major streaming platforms. Please subscribe and happy listening.
All right, we are back, and this is your final warning. There will be spoilers that lie ahead. Now, Dustin, for those who haven't seen Grosse Pointe Blank since 1997, do you want to refresh people's memories?
Martin Blank is a killer for hire in LA, working as a loner in the field with his handler Marcella in a world where professional relationships and rivalries, including with Dan Aykroyd's menacing but mirthful grocer, intertwine between the real-life struggles of the 90s man, loss of identity, normlessness, and a strange invitation back to his 10-year reunion. Martin writes it off until a hit gone wrong leads him to a make-good kill near his hometown, and he jet sets there to reconnect with his old friends and his old flame, Debbie. He struggles with his wants and needs as a human, connecting back with his roots, while reconciling with the life he has created, and he has brought back unspeakable danger to his hometown, lurking behind him, in the form of Grocer, 2 other NSA anti-terror killers, and a new threat, Felix. The 10-year reunion itself is a relative success, including a kill of Felix inside the school, but his secret is revealed, leading to Debbie pulling away for good. That night he learns of his mark, Debbie's father, but instead turns protector and stops the other killers from fulfilling the contract. His past behind him and his secretary taken care of with cash, they drive west toward a new frontier.
All right. So I'm going to start this off over under Price is Right rule, sorry. Don't go over. What's your body count for Grosse Pointe Blank? Bryan, you can go first.
14.
All right. Dustin, how about you?
10.
It is 14, exactly. Bryan knows his stuff in this movie.
No, that was truly a guess. Like I did a quick mental run through. It wasn't any sort of nonsense. No, I swear to God, I did no prep work for that.
I was going to do the sneaky Price is Right thing and say 15, but I said it can't be 15. It couldn't be. So right on the money, man.
Right on.
No, I was truly like, because it gets real heavy at the end. I was like, all right, there's at least,
I would have gone under that. I didn't feel like 14. Like you said at the end, it happens kind of quick. So I would not have gone 14. I would have gone like 9.
No, there was some luck there.
I didn't count the ones at the beginning. Aykroyd takes out like 4 of them in front of the hotel.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I thought we were just talking about Cusack's body count.
It's body. Well, it just says body count. I don't have it. Who did what? So,
Okay. I'll take the luck then. I was just going Cusack's. I was like, okay.
Another reason to go back and watch it, Bryan, so you can count those body counts and verify if the internet numbers are right. So, now
he really only slept with Debbie.
Yeah. So we have this kooky world where we have a hitman who kills people. He's a loner. He is in a funky place in life. He's just left his home, and it's a high school reunion. What a funny mechanism. We don't see this a lot in movies, like the high school reunion of bringing him back to town. He's kind of reluctantly going, like you said, his mark is there. What a funny way to take this very serious world of Hitman with this personal, like, quarter to life crisis that's coming together here. And Bryan, I'll let you go. Like, why is this Finding Yourself movie so funny in the midst of killing a lot of people as a hitman?
Well, the way I look at this is he's already done 2 careers. Like, he's had a career in the military.
Yeah.
He's had a career as a hitman. So he's done, non-private and private work. He's clearly made some money. And, like, I'd almost say he's living the dream in one aspect. The fact that the age he's at, he's like, take down the office. Like, wait, I'm retiring. So the hilarity of this movie is really based on Dan Aykroyd's character wanting him to join him. Like that's the thing. Like, you've already got a guy who's done doing what he's doing. I can at least attempt to commiserate with whatever position he held with the army, where they figured out he could kill people without any problem, and then him taking that private. I mean, even his philosophy on it, to a certain degree, isn't wrong per se. So it's just an interesting play all across the board. And like, when they're driving out of town at the end of the movie, you're just like, well, you did that at what, 35? Sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I
Dustin,
think we're
how are
even
you?
younger than that. This is a 10-year reunion, so we're looking at 27,
10-year reunion.
28.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very nice early retirement. Provided that he doesn't want to look for whatever his new life is, or provided that Debbie wants to keep being a DJ. I think when you said that it's
I would listen to Debbie, by the way.
Yeah,
I would totally listen to Debbie.
I'd use all my senses with Debbie. Minnie Driver really revs my engine. So the thing is, the Aykroyd's character Grosse kind of creates this extra conflict, brings the trouble back to Grosse Pointe, and without that, you might say that was Martin was he already on the verge of leaving that life behind? Well, we see 2 hits. One of them is he takes out a bike messenger who was supposed to be a killer, and then Grosser's the backup. He wasn't prepared to handle a secondary hitman, and so those 4 people that I suppose as part of his contract were not meant to die, ended up dying anyway. That seems like it went wrong, and he's actually explaining it over the phone with Marcella. Then, after that, he's got the kill where very Mission Impossible like, nicely shot too, where he's dripping the poison down the line, which I have seen in Goldfinger, or it's one of the Bonds where we've seen something like that before. And
Octopussy has something that's like, kind of dangling down, like with that blade, if that's what you're getting at.
not a blade. I've seen poison drip down a line before, but maybe I'm wrong with it being a Bond. But
maybe it's You Only Live Twice. I don't know. Maybe
it is You Only Live Twice. But the thing is, like, that one went wrong too, and we see that he's capable. He can catch up, and he's able to recover and get the kill anyway. But he's talking with his therapist. This is where I think the humor comes from me, is that he's trying to be a normal guy, kinda. He's talking about like how he really respects the process with his therapist, who, by the way, has said, "I'm not your doctor. I'm afraid of you." The trying to get back into what his life could be, going back home, seeing his mom's house has been demolished. He meets Jeremy Piven's character, Paul, who's like, he's kind of a slimy real estate guy. The 10-year reunion part of this, I think, is really fun because it is something that just about every person in the United States has some familiarity with what it is. And it seems like it will matter to you when you're 1 or 2 years outside of high school. And then once 10 years comes, you're like, who cares? But it's at this point that I'm like, this is where like these two worlds coming together really create the comedy for me.
Russell, did you go?
I did not go to our reunion.
Okay.
I don't. I think I did. I think I did a check to see, like, our group of 5 really good friends are like, you going. They said no, and I'm like, Yeah. The same people I go out of my way to travel to see anyway aren't going. So then no.
I felt so guilty because Lindsay like headed it, and she was like, "You coming?" And I was like, "It's a $3,000 plane trip to come to this." I was like, "I'm sorry." Like
I don't know if there's ever been a movie portrayal of a 10-year reunion or a media portrayal of a 10-year reunion being something that is fun and cool and great. So the idea that
it's always awkward and horrible.
It's meant to be. And so that's where I'm like, okay, this is something that it's a milestone that people know, but it's not as serious or impactful as like a big time wedding or an anniversary or something. It's enough that you can poke fun of it. And so like his two worlds colliding back in Grosse Pointe is just where like all the fronts come together, and it's very, very fun to watch. Way more fun when the stakes are relatively low, like a 10-year reunion.
It's even lower than a prom, to be honest with you, because like prom feels like it's the biggest deal in the world to some people at that point. I didn't feel that way about my own, but I mean, I know it's a big deal to many people, and that's that part of your life.
I went to another school's prom.
I did too.
I think there's something funny and awkward about just going back, and you have graduated from high school literally, but and presumably you've left, and there's a perspective of some of those things just aren't the most important things in the world, and to go back and to step into that world for a moment, and everybody's changed a lot. You change a whole lot. You find eyes to view the world differently in college, and or as you take on your job and begin the working world, and it's a real weird throwback. Like you said, Dustin, there's an awkwardness in it. So I think he's in an awkwardness with his career. It's awkward going back. He kind of didn't really want to go, and it just kind of was kismet that it worked out that he got to go. But he had this, like, Debbie was the one that got away from him. And so there was some degree of, if there's anything he wanted to go back to his hometown to reconnect with, it's Debbie. Now we do see with his mom, there is a legitimate reason why you might want to run away. His mom's not in a good mental state, and that was very painful for him to go back. So there was some degree of unpacking why you might not want to.
I also love the scene of him visiting his dad.
Right. Yeah, little Glenfiddich poured out.
Just dumps the whole bottle on his grave, drops it, and walks off.
There's a degree of Debbie's the only reason to go back home, and he left so overwhelmed and to find himself broke Debbie's heart, that therefore makes it awkward to go back to find her. But boy, she makes him sit in it when he first comes back to town. I love that scene of just putting him right on the air in front of everybody there. I think she has such a lively personality. I think you said you liked her character in this one, Dustin.
I think what matters is that Martin is attempting to be a little more normal. Otherwise, he'd just be hiding in the shadows. If he wanted to not be seen, he could. If he wanted to reign in the shadows and open the dossier 2 nights earlier or 1 night earlier, he could have. Instead, he's making this attempt in part due to the advice given to him by Dr. Oatman, not his doctor, that like, hey, try not killing for a couple days, see how it feels. I'll give it a shot. Nope, don't shoot anybody. So the idea is like he's trying, and his immediate first try is, oh, I'm going to be put through the ringer by this girl who I left. And she tells the story about $700 prom dress. People are calling in. That's fun. I like when like this is like the revenge, like I'm getting him. However, the spark is clearly still there, which is nice because any hitman could potentially be some monster that you are afraid of. But instead, Cusack's portrayal is, there's this electricity to me. And the other people that remember him like to see him again. So he hasn't become a boogeyman. He's still what they remember. Oh yeah, this guy from high school. And so he's able to fit in with this deep, dark secret.
I like that, she is a bit of normal. He's going around telling so many people, I'm a contract hitman.
Yeah, like he's honest the whole time. He's like, I'm a professional killer.
Yeah. And like, it really hits home for her later when she sees him with a dead body at the prom. But I mean, the number of people that he then told her who were thought that was cool, like when he told Jeremy Piven's character, like that seems cool. Like, yeah, like or like even Minnie Driver, Debbie's dad, and he's like, I've been a professional hitman, and he's like, oh, good for you, it's a growth industry. Like very nonchalantly, like the guy who's taking your daughter out tonight, doesn't bat an eye. So the degree at which nobody responds to it except for Debbie is another one of those humorous, kind of surrealistic kind of things. Because again, most people would be like, I need to call the police, I guess, so I'm not like an accomplice to a crime. Like,
I think it's truly one of the reasons I love this movie so much, where you have a main character and the love interest, and both can nod and agree, hey, you're weird, I'm super weird too. And that's fun. And I like that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this, because the confidence that Cusack exudes is basically exactly what I did in high school too. It's like, I have no reason to be as confident as I am, but screw it. So I dug the idea of them before, and then the question mark of them after, and then his pursuit of her.
She's worthy of being pursued. She is living in this town still. It's 10 years later. I suppose she's got a normal life. That being said, there wasn't much. She still lives in that sort of palatial home still, so she still lives in
her house burned down, which is like a bit of a weird thing,
There's some stuff that we aren't given enough information for it to matter. We just kind of roll with it. The thing about this is at the very end of the movie. He's trying to explain why he stood her up on prom night, which, for the record, I don't even remember the name of the girl I took to. Oh, no, Jocelyn. Never mind, it just came back. But the idea is...
Shout out to Jocelyn.
Shout out Jocelyn.
Shout out to Jocelyn. Hey, girl. I remembered you just now, 20 years later. So, the thing is...
We're going to edit that to make it seem like you had it at the tip of your tongue with great respect, as opposed to...
Let's not talk about my tongue and Jocelyn. So here's the thing. What we have to do is... There's not too much I think that's special or interesting about Minnie, except for, that she's a beautiful girl and she's like the one that quote unquote got away. He tries to explain like why he left. He's like, I had a feeling that I needed to kill someone, and I decided that meant I couldn't come and pick you up. I don't feel like there's enough there, and that's okay that there's enough there. I wasn't like waiting for that, but it hurt her, and so he's trying to undo this hurt. And she's kind of goofy. I like a goofball love interest, but I don't think the role is really fleshed out that much. I think she's just kind of along for the ride, but she's a fun partner to have in the sidecar. That there's just not too much for her to do. Or be. She's kind of a damsel in distress at the end, like save me. I'm not asking for more. I'm not asking for more from how she was written. I like her in this movie, but I just kind of felt like there wasn't a ton for her in this movie. She was kind of just the love interest.
No, I feel like she's actually, I think she's a foil in some ways. Not a foil, but I think a parallel. She hasn't found her thing. She's kind of got like this radio thing, but it doesn't feel like she's got this passion. She doesn't have a partner. She doesn't have a strong direction in life. You can kind of see that. Like
I don't
she's
know.
ready. She's ready to up and leave town. When she holds the baby in her hands, there's like this future, like looking at that baby at prom, thinking, where is my life really going right now? And
it's a nearly scathing indictment to everything that she doesn't like is this reunion, because she's been spent all this time on the radio show just trashing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like she was scooped up for the ride, and maybe I wasn't paying attention. I love that scene where both of them are holding the baby. Like there are little things where their dance is that this is them reconnecting after so long. Yes, there's a hurt to be healed, but I'm not asking for her to go Black Widow and become an assassin either. I'm not asking for her to be an accomplice in anything. I'm not asking for her to pick up a gun and save his life. All I'm saying here is that though I enjoy her presence on screen, I didn't see her character's like route of action being anything other than a foil.
I think she's the mechanism though that gets him to put the gun down, and thus probably does save his life in a way. Like she's
that I get.
Yeah, I mean he has that place like rigged for death before he leaves. I think he was done. I think he was slowly parading toward an end to it. Otherwise, he wouldn't stick a wad of cash under his secretary's desk just to be able to say, "Hey, we're all done." So, like, I think he was done. I think this was I'm tired of this. Whether it was killing the dog in Oregon or whatever that really led him to.
I'm surprised, Bryan. There's a dog that dies in this movie. I thought that was a deal breaker for you.
I didn't have to see it. I just had to hear about it. It's fine.
Yeah. No. This is one of Cusack's favorite films that he has done, and I think so.
I can't imagine how it wouldn't be. Like, this looked like so much fun from beginning to end.
Well, there's some reasons here. I mean, Cusack and Piven are actually high school friends. So like their chemistry is like an actual real chemistry. So it's like getting to be on a movie set with one of your best buddies, and and it's a movie about a high school reunion and stuff like that. So that's very appropriate that you're there with one of your friends. It has his family members in here. Obviously Joan Cusack is his sister, but there's also Amy, who's Ann Cusack as well. And Bill Cusack even gets in here as like a little bit role as a waiter. And then on top of that, I think it's one of the interesting things. This is a movie that by some accounts, many drivers said, I sort of got vaulted into this because I read with Cusack and then we had a massive connection, and then we could come hang out and like we should see what's up, which I did. And she told Corden that I realized that I was on the way to make things like this in the movie career with the train, that I would jump on board with him and make something like this, but the script itself wasn't actually very funny. So she said they ended up doing a lot of ad lib. It was a wonderful, completely out of the blue, everything was being rewritten. The director said I was shooting 3 takes for every one of them. One, the way it was written, one in a different, amping it up and being more improv, and then one that was really extreme out there. And they kept the really extreme, weird, eccentric stuff a lot of the time. So this isn't necessarily the best written piece of material. And so Cusack, in essence, is one of those main reasons that they pressured, that they said, he's like, this isn't great. Can we just do our own thing? And the director gave them the leeway, kind of was forced into it to some degree. And he was rewarded handsomely because he has a very talented cast. So Driver had the right chemistry with Cusack, and he had the right group. So it was a very creative, fun role. So if you're an actor and you are giving that much of a, you don't have a winning script, and that you can have the freedom to turn it into a win. That's so cool. I think that would be a really fun thing for an actor. And as I was reading that, it seemed like they had a lot of fun making it, like you said, Bryan.
Yeah, I just feel like there are a couple movies that I've watched where I'm like, if that wasn't fun making it, it would actually lose, like knowing that would lose something for me from the film, because gosh, that looks like a lot of fun.
The screenwriter, Tom Yankovic, wrote the initial script for the film in 91. So he got an invitation to his high school reunion. He picked up the title and with a substitute teaching for an English class at Upland High School. And the title of the classroom was on the whiteboard, so it would look on the movie theater marquee. Yankovic decided that Grosse Pointe Blank was an upscale suburb to Detroit, so that he ended up going, instead of where his neighborhood was at Sterling Heights. So they put it in this part of Detroit, which doesn't feel like Detroit as we sometimes like to think of it. It's a very suburban Detroit. And this is of the writer's world, though, so to speak. It's kind of regional to that. And I just find it very interesting that it took this long to get it made. It went through several production companies, and Kiefer Sutherland wanted to make it. But in the words of one columnist, the mix of comedy and violence proved tough to sell. Nobody wanted to pick it up. And so nobody wanted to touch this necessarily. And it took till the mid-90s to get it made.
That is, it's so strange to hear that this mix of comedy and violence wouldn't work when it has so frequently worked so much. When it has just so frequently been something that is very good and very fun. I know that what we saw wasn't Detroit. I don't know what Grosse Pointe or Deer Park or Oakland, Michigan looks like. I don't know what they really look like, but you can tell it's not the Detroit that we're supposed to think of with Detroit. And in fact, they go inside the same couple of places right away when they get there. Then I'm thinking, oh, there's not that much like money being spent on sets or whatever. And that's okay. It's still fun. Your little mini interactions with the characters, including the ones trying to kill him or the ones following him, Joan Cusack, Marcella back in the office, like that. All of these small minute and a half interactions, I think, drive and push the movie along. So I guess Hollywood learned its lesson that violence and comedy can work together. And I'm glad they did, because it has. And I honestly, when you started this part of the show with, what do you think the body count is? I wasn't even thinking about the body count in this. I did think that it was cool that Cusack actually got a little martial arts, like hand-to-hand fighting with the Jet, who's the Felix's kickboxers, like the actor that plays Felix, his kickboxing nickname was the Jet. That was a good little scene, and I thought the shootouts were fun. But that's more like icing on the cake. I think it's the quirky interactions of this that made me say, this is fun.
I think that comes from when Cusack went to Joe Roth, who was the head of Disney, and said, can we just improvise? Like Minnie Driver said herself, she said, it wasn't a total disaster, but it also just wasn't very funny a couple weeks into filming it. So they had to pivot. And, George Armitage was the director, and he was kind of forced to go along with that, Minnie Driver said. And bless his heart, he adapted very well on the fly. So Armitage, again, said that he would shoot one like the script. Nobody generally liked that one ever. Then there was one that was understated. And then there was one that was more improvisational and exaggerated. And again, these actors, I think you can kind of see some of that, like in meeting the people at the reunion. Some of those interactions with like the bully type character were really weird and out there. And I could feel some of that improv, knowing that as I was watching this, it was just like, some of these scenes where I'm not sure they knew where that was going to go. Like when
I'm not
when he's
sure
in-
writing into the script that the car salesman bully Bob, who is drunk and keeps asking people to do coke, if him reading his words, quote unquote, his words, which are a
These are
poem
my
that
words.
he wrote, but like it's so fun. I'm laughing right now. You just doing the impression. It's very funny on screen, but that doesn't seem like it would be that funny on paper. I think there's probably a dozen gags, sight gags, visual gags, like the kind of things that are like fun about this movie that I don't know if they would have jumped off the script. And maybe some of that did come from some improvisation. I will say just about everything Aykroyd does is meant to be pretty funny.
Yes.
Aykroyd is extremely witty. I think sometimes, there's varying degrees of like his comedic efforts with what you see in his movies. Sometimes it's more straight up, like an easy layup for him. But when you watch him on Saturday Night Live, you see how quick worded he is. You see this very quick mind, and you can tell he would improvise well. I definitely know that Cleese, of all the people who were ever on Saturday Night Live, Dan Aykroyd would have been the best to have been in the Pythons with that quickness and that being able to go out there. So he could play it straight, but also he could go wildly out there. And he seems like he's having fun as well with this dark character of treating it like a business. It's more of like a business act. Like, I'm going to acquire this star killer, and it's a killing industry. But it's the way they talk about it in a way that if they're like boat salesmen or something like that, like I want to steal that boat salesman and get him to work for my boat salesman thing. It's completely addressed in the same, like you said, ordinary way in a very unorthodox, unordinary field, and that's funny. Just watching them go to do a real estate showing while talking about like, mind if I top shop for a minute here, like like with the security guard, and
there's a bit of he pulls it out. Hey, look what I brought. So there's a bit of that scene. I thought that scene was a little flat. I was hoping that there would be something funnier, more fireworks there. But the humor is the idea that you do have this. I mean, if a guy is maybe meant for law enforcement and the best he's got is being really overzealous at his community security guard gig, that's its own kind of humor, very tongue-in-cheek, like almost swallowed like joke. That's one that definitely wouldn't jump off the page. And then with Aykroyd's lines, it's more about his delivery. I think his performance of some of his lines is very fun. But yeah, you brought it up. The treating this like it's normal. Props to Joan Cusack and the handler role. I love her screaming over the phone about like the misplaced ordnance that isn't coming in, and then she switches line to then use essentially the exact same tone, arguing about how like carrots and onions does not make a soup. Like this is all stuff that
It's a base. You have to add things to it.
yeah, with all this passion that goes like this really came out of left field where they're trying to pull the humor from. And I think it's because I don't want to say it's scattershot like it's sloppy, but because it's multi-front, I think that's where I get the greatest appreciation for it.
And we've talked a lot about the chemistry of the main actors here, Bryan. I know something that makes you happy is action in movies. This movie actually delivers good action when it is into the action, doesn't it?
Yes and no. Like I almost feel like the lack of it to an extent is important. I mean, obviously we have that big supermarket scene right in the middle.
That's awesome.
That drives it, and it's a great scene. But by and large, the articulation of all of the people talking about killing people in between is more important, because you've got the CIA spooks talking about killing him. You've got this dude who's a hitman trying to hit him, and then all the comedy of errors that happens from his two hits early in the film, and then him going to the reunion as okay, this is going to happen. I mean, they're loading you up the whole time. They're loading you up where even that conversation they have between the cars, like, oh, who all do you have in your little guild? And he's like, oh yeah, the Stabbers and all this stuff. And you're just like, do we get to see this? Is this something I get to, is this something you're going to introduce later? So it's fun. They keep the action at a respectable pace. Yes, the gas station scene is great, but they keep the action at a very respectable pace. They don't really overdo it, and that's really important to the film.
I figured you would be really excited to see all this machine gun firing while fun music is playing. And
well, again, while the guy's playing Doom,
yes.
on a thing,
unaware,
which is also funny. No, I get, but again, like music is driving the film. It wasn't just something to overlay, and I even think the weapon choice for a lot of this is hysterical. So this is just a really fun movie.
We know that they have access to high-tech equipment. John Cusack, Martin is very, very nonchalantly on the phone while he's like scoping in his silenced rifle early on. And I'm thinking, this is pretty fun that he's just so casually about this. And then he takes and makes a shot. And we know that he also uses a silenced pistol when he has to recover from the botched poison job. But the rest of
camera
the movie,
too.
Yes, yes, he's got gadgets, right? But the rest of the movie, everything is just full bore, so loud, and it's happening so near the rest of the world. And it's just by chance that anybody catches them or not, and that's where you're kind of on the edge of your seat for isn't something bad's going to happen after the Ultimart gets blown up. Nothing really happens in the city.
That's true,
right?
Well, I mean, it's kind of poetic.
No, I want to say the next death is him stabbing him in the neck with a pen, right?
Love that.
That was great. I mean,
would there be a John Wick without a Grosse Pointe Blank, without a Martin Blank?
Ooh,
the meeting the dull lawyer scene seems so bad. Like it doesn't seem like it's a low point. Like you might have said there was a slow moment for you. That seemed like a slow moment for me. I'm just like, this is going on too long. It's a setup. It's all about getting that pen at the end of it, and then later he stabs him, and he's like, "Thanks for the pen." And you're just like, that whole thing is now like important, and it is very funny, like the payback of that, having gone through this seemingly mundane conversation and getting this mundane pen. Mm-hmm. It will save your life. That's so fun, and just like, thanks for the pen. Like that's so fun.
There's a depth to this that is really important. I actually think the slow points are all crucial. Like his moments with Jeremy Piven are fundamental. Like everything that happens in between action scenes, and I'll use air quotes there,
sure,
are absolutely crucial because they add to basically the lunacy of what's happening at this point. And I actually think at some point in time, he's probably like, yep, this is spiraling out of control. Screw it. Like I truly see a level of DGAF, like where he's like, we'll just, whatever it is, let's deal with it. And
he's so upset that, go ahead.
Well, no, real quick. Even when he's talking to the secretary, or the handler, he's like, "You have looked at this, right?" Yeah, I'm getting to it.
Right. I'll do it tomorrow.
I don't really care anymore. Like this is nuts.
That's a fun turn when that happens. You're right. I think it's great that the Ultimart is surprisingly at his house. It's upsetting for him. He doesn't like that it's there. And then it's
what
so
are you
fitting.
Doing here?
It's so fitting that he comes into town and he brings this danger with him, and the whole story ends up getting blown up, and that's kind of poetic in its own right too. So, and I like that Jimmy Piven, again, everything's very normal. It's just like, I hope you don't hold it against me. I brokered the deal. Like, he's like, no, I understand.
I mentioned earlier that some things are not lingered on and there's more information to be had potentially. Here's a very small example. there's a moment when he calls Marcella back at the office, and she is wearing an elegant, or I guess faux elegant, like sequined or shiny, like evening gown. And her head is down on the desk, and she like pops up and says, yeah, what's up, boss? But like, we have no idea why she was dressed that way. And that's okay. It's okay that we don't get that reveal. Maybe that's on the editing room floor, right? Maybe. But there's so many other things where like we don't linger on it too long. I'm glad we don't linger in the nursing home for that long, or in the old folks home, for her forgetfulness, whether it's Alzheimer's adjacent, whatever it is. I'm glad we don't linger on that. We don't need it. The gag where he pours out the bottle of scotch for Dad, based on the timing, that means his dad would have died when he was like a year or two after leaving high school. So probably died while he was in the army, or in the military. So the idea is we don't linger on stuff that doesn't really matter. But if they took time on it, the time that he's driving around with Paul, and they're catching up, the way it's not easy to catch up. You can catch up with your friend from a month ago way easier than you catch up with your friend from 10 years ago. It's kind of a weird little dance to catch up with people you haven't seen in a long time. How do you pack 10 years of stuff, especially if one of the actors in the conversation is a killer for hire? And you see he practices in the mirror, like, what do I say? Like, what am I going to, like, what's the facade I'm going to use? I work at KFC and I sell biscuits and gravy all over the South. That's a fun little thing he says to Amy. And it's also fun because it shows he's got a sense of humor, and it shows he's got a sense of humor in the world of the movie, which is something that Debbie is attracted to. You see that little sparkle in her eye, that little glint? Writing a character who is funny is a very difficult thing to do. His character is funny, or at least charming, to her. And so that brings life to that love interest, is that you can see it on screen. Oh, she's kind of falling for him again, even though he hurt her so long ago. All this stuff is intentional. Yeah.
Well, you can even see the improv in that very first interaction they meet, when he walks into the station and she plants a kiss on him. That was, again, not written. That was an improv thing. He didn't know that was coming. And so that's,
I don't think that's a plant a kiss. That's I'm going to eat your face. I miss you a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not a, French, like, oh, good to see you again. Right.
Yeah. That was passion rekindled before the fury came back.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a choice that Minnie made for a big reaction. And like Cusack's like, whoa, like kind of like, we're doing this now. And so again, there's an electricity that's going on in this cast. It's very exciting when you sit there and break it down. One thing that I think is sad is Don Cheadle was the original choice for McCullers, one of the FBI agents there. So he would have been there with Frank Azaria, which would have been.
But the thing is, I have no qualms on how it sorted out. Like that was still good. Like I have no issue with how it went. I'm thinking there's nothing against K. Todd Freeman, who did the role there, but Cheadle would have been really fun to have had in there. And honestly, I'm picturing the lines from him, and I see him executed like almost identically. Like, maybe I wish he'd do his job so we could do our. Yeah, like I could literally hear it from Cheadle. I really enjoyed the fact that they were trying to catch him and he wasn't. He was doing mundane, regular things, like you said. Yeah. I wanted to check in with them just a little bit more. Like, like thinking that they could maybe run in and get him and then not. Or like, and then so they also have to not be seen. And so he's also very aware that they're there after some point. And so this doesn't really shape him. It doesn't make him head out of town. That's a fun other one of these vectors that they add to this. There's another killer there to kill him.
I think that is fun. And I would have wanted more of that too. I mentioned that you kind of want a little more, but it's either the right after that he gets the call back to Marcella where she tells him about that these are NSA anti-terror. Mm-hmm. I think he had clocked them as, oh no, you're just kind of part of my world. I've clocked you. I love that line where he's like, I'm going to go finish my drink. I'm going to walk her back, and then I'll go to my hotel in 30 minutes. I'll see you there, is that he can kind of dip back into the menace of his world quickly. Same with the guns in the bags in the diner.
I love that.
It's good.
And it's also one of those things where it's funny, like, Grosser's working with the feds to try and nail Martin, but in the end, they're back to back in the kitchen. They both have pistols in both of their hands. They're just
look at that.
And then they both kind of have this sense of glee as they're getting to shoot the feds.
It's
like
true.
they're getting in. It's like they're interrupting their conversations. Like Aykroyd's got a big smile on his face, like emptying both clips. And then they both go behind the wall and reload again and stuff. And it's again this movie finishes really well.
It's such a fun movie. It's such a fun movie.
The action is great. I love that. Like Debbie's dad, we don't really know exactly what all put him on this list, but again, he's in the bathtub or whatever, and he's just like, "Will you marry me?" He's like, "You've got my blessing."
Yeah, that's good. When he's ushering him back inside his own house, I think Bart says, "Design, they're mad at me for the sunroof. Design puts a hit on me." So like he's involved in the design of an automobile. I guess it makes sense because of Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And so apparently the part of his firm that he works for was so mad at his design choice that they wanted to kill him. Yeah, and did you guys think that having you guys have seen it far more than I have, but do you guys think that having the mark be so close to Debbie, obviously her father, that was necessary? Did you like the late reveal? I liked the late reveal.
It's not my best quote, but I love the dumb bleeping look.
Right, yeah.
Like that was great. Like clearly, like I'm gonna go through all my existential stuff that led me to where I am right now. Now I'm gonna actually look, like clearly it's gone poorly. Now I'm gonna continue on with my job. Wow. That sucks.
And it sucks, but also it is dumb luck that allows him to reconcile and get the girl.
True.
He fails in getting her back. It's not until the connection that the saving her dad's life even gets him in a room with her again. He had failed, and not. I guess it's not. I'm trying to say it's not his fault. He is a killer, but he does it's kind of a funny scene when he's explaining how, like, oh, it's about something that I do. She asks, "Is it something you did?" Kinda.
Something I do professionally.
Right, exactly. And so, like, this is
which he never lied about. He told her already.
True.
She's like, people always joke about the terrible things they don't do. Nope, he's just being straight up honest.
He's just saying that's what he does. Yeah, but that's where I go. Like, the way that it comes together. Sometimes in a movie, it is by chance, and in this movie, you're lucky that the chance does come together the way that it does, because it's a very fun and I think a satisfying ending.
Frye, have you seen War Inc. from 2008?
Absolutely.
So apparently Cusack says it's an informal sequel of sorts to Grosse Pointe Blank. He says both films are similar in style and theme. And then Cusack and Joan Cusack are both in it, and Dan Aykroyd is in it as well. Again, how close are they, out of curiosity? Like, I read this, and being that you see the most movies of all of us,
it's a huge segue in what you're doing. I mean, I would say that it would 100% match up in terms of, like, he would clearly know who to go for arms and weapons and that sort of thing. It's still kind of funny. There's an amusement to it. It's not fun. This movie has a lightheartedness to it. War Inc. is more of it's rougher.
This kind of movie works. And danger, whether it's assassination, whether it's a heist, whether it is even a kidnapping ruse, just last year's new Retro was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So we're talking about like spy thriller with comedy, or comedy with thriller. And so fighting and killing is going to happen. Luckily, we don't have I don't think at any point during this movie does in general the audience have to make the moral judgment on Martin. We aren't going, well, I don't know if I'm going to root for this guy. We're kind of just in the world that he's in, and seeing that he's trying to be normal is enough for us. I think there's other movies involving assassins. You might not particularly root for Jean Reno in The Professional. You might not root for all of Ocean's 11, 12, or 13, or 8.
I thought his name was Gene Reno.
Gene Reno.
Reno. Call back to your in chat episode.
A real callback to Gene Reno. But yeah, I think there are times when you must make the decision is, am I going to root for the underworld guy? And we're never really put in that position here. We like Cusack, and that's good. And that's kind of a triumph to say, like, you don't have to worry. You can easily say, oh, I don't know if I like Grosher, right? Because he's not as endearing. He's funny, but
slimy.
He's slimy too.
Which he does slimy well. We just covered Tommy Boy with Dan Aykroyd in there. He does slimy businessmen well. This time he's doing underground black market, slimy businessman, and so it's a natural fit here. But I like the juxtaposition of, I'm from out of town, I'm at a different income level, I've got this other life and stuff. Martin looks different as he comes in. He's very stylish. He's got the black on black on black with like a dark green tie. Like, he looks sharp. I admit, like, a lot of my own attire that I'll go to for work and stuff like that, I really like his selections of, really simple, and he stands out because of that in this world. And I think that he's wearing this hitman thing, and as he's talking to his therapist, he's even saying, like, I'm just having execution problems. I don't really, like you said, like Dustin, he's not fitting in. Those therapist scenes are important to establishing that, like you said, he's not really feeling this lifestyle anymore. But when he goes back into the real world, he's been in the military, he's been killing people professionally. It's not so easy. And so you do get a little bit of that fish out of water sense of, like, how am I supposed to be a regular dude now?
I actually think that most of the center of this movie, like basically everything from initial Alan Arkin to exit Alan Arkin scene, is him going through a therapeutic process. Like, he's 100% honest with everybody. Like, he's letting his feelings out. Like, everything through the center of this movie is him going through a realistic therapeutic process. And at the end, given how it all shovels out, he fires his therapist. I feel like that's one of the undersung, like, undertone levels of this movie is like he's really into the process of therapy that his therapist clearly isn't into, and he's bought into something that the therapist isn't even putting out, and then he does it, and he's like, all right, screw you, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what other advice he was given, but the decision to stay and kind of take his lumps in the studio when the callers are calling in, or the idea that he is being maybe a little more aggressive in his pursuit of Debbie, at, coming back by the door, or I don't know if he's been instructed to use his words more or something like that, right? All of this stuff is, you don't know what the prescribed type of actions he should take, but it's just the idea that he's trying. It's the idea that he's went. And it is nice that Marcella was like, you should go. I mean, I don't exactly know if there's a reason she wanted him to go, because the makeup
hilarity.
good kill.
She said, I think it's funny that you came from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's hilarity. Yeah. It's like, oh,
and
you spawned into existence in a place that normal people do. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, and I think that he's trying to embrace normalcy a bit, because he could just play everything very cool, but instead he's letting life happen in this hometown of his. So there was a choice for him to do that, and he does, and we're all made better for getting to watch.
I think it's interesting they moved the movie to Grosse Pointe Blank to change the tone of it. Again, it's a little more of an upscale neighborhood than the one that the writer had grown up in. They did not actually get Grosse Pointe High School, though. The school board felt like that it would not be appropriate to have someone graduating at Grosse Pointe school system becoming a hitman and having a violent scene in it, so they had to shoot it in another high school. And thank goodness they had lower standards.
Yeah, they're not. I can't believe that they would be so restrictive. You got to aim high.
I love the scene of him killing. It's another good fight scene up in the hallway. The pen as the saving is great, but I love that Jeremy Piven comes up to help him.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that if I saw a friend from 10 years ago, Russell, if I saw you, and there's a dead body near you, and you had just killed him, and the very little information is that, like, well,
with the pen blood all over me,
then yeah, I'm helping you hide the body too.
Oh, yeah. I hope you guys.
No. I truly think this is a difference in generational pieces, because I feel like there's a lot of jokes tossing around, like who would help you hide a body and whatnot. Dude, if you're friends with somebody, you're gonna help them hide a body.
Lizzie,
like, it's not
Lizzie's not on with us, but she has told me on another episode, I don't do anything wrong or ask me like because I will turn you in. Like, it's just like I can't not like it's like I'm going to turn you in.
Yeah, I think let's just go with a guy thing then. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I have never met Dustin in person. I would 1000% help him hide a dead body. Like, all right.
If Frye came to me like there was like a ski pull through somebody and said, like, I need some help, I'd be like, I kind of knew this would happen someday, and I'm at peace with it. Let's do this. So yeah. Let's get your ski bag.
I feel like one of us has to accidentally kill somebody sometime.
We're gonna make it look like it was an accident, and then we're gonna just.
Oh, is this admissible in court? What we're saying right now?
Only if you keep the edit.
Yeah. No, you gotta help out your, and yeah, they aren't like close. They were maybe close back then, but like he's gonna help out, and he does. But he's definitely dealing with the emotions of it afterward. It's not warm as they walk back across the floor of the gym to.
We gotta have questions. I mean, I don't think you get to do that without questions.
Now, let's talk about the music here. Bryan, you queued it up multiple times. Tell us, for you, ways that this music is used to help drive the movie or to really set the tone in a way that's changing the experience as you watch this.
I have a truly love-hate relationship with the 80s in terms of music. There's some absolutely fantastic stuff, and there's some truly awful music.
Mm-hmm. The bad's bad.
The way this movie picks what is good and omits what is bad, and or uses the occasional bad to personify what is bad in the film is very clever. And I'm trying really hard to remember when the first time I really saw actual music, like not a film score, but actual songs used in a very specific way to drive plot. And this is one of the earlier ones that I remember. I think there may have been more prior, but it took me maturing in film to rewatch something prior and recognizing it. But I feel like this is one of the first movies where I was like, gosh, they really like rocked music in a very special way for this film. So yeah, this is a great film music handshake.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. My favorite music moment has to be when he's driving into town. He's listening to Blister in the Sun by the Violent Femmes, and it changes as he comes into town. As he's going back into his 80s world, we then get hit with, The Clash. And now we're going to be doing the 80s music, and it will remain in the 80s largely, as Debbie tells us all weekend long for the reunion. So it is him stepping back into his world, and they do that through the music, not so subtly. It's really nice. And then again, the Clash lyrics appear on the banners of the hallway up above that they help wrap the body that we just discussed in. And so there's moments
She's
where
got the Clash poster in her bedroom. I still find it a bit odd that at 27, 28, you've got a local DJ job and still living at home. But in that home, yeah, I would want to stay there too.
Honestly, man, if I could get a local DJ job, that sounds amazing.
I was going to say,
I would take a destructive pay cut.
I got the gist that she had like a smaller place, and then again, it was burned down, which we don't know. Like you said, maybe maybe her dad is slightly under fire, and she doesn't even realize it or something. Maybe they went after her and she doesn't even realize it. Like one of those things of, I've thought about that before. It's like, what's that story with that place that burned down? That doesn't seem like it's just coincidence.
Interesting. I do wonder if there's a lot on the cutting room floor that would maybe give more, like a director's cut that would give more full details as to about it. I don't feel as if I'm missing anything of that like great substance.
Other great 80s music moment was Pete Townshend's let My Love Open Your Door. That plays at the reunion, and like you said, good 80s music moment there for me. Dustin, go ahead.
I'm really trying to think of like, what's the number to make me like be like, okay, it's not worth being a DJ. Like if you put me on the air to do a music station in town, I'm just like, I'm not saying I'd do it for free. But God,
but he's saying
I'd have to walk or bike
super
there.
cool. Yeah.
35 a year. If I could walk or bike there, or if I could live above the studio.
Oh my God, I would love to do that.
I could meet you in Spokane if things really go bad down here in Texas, which they are. I could get up there.
You and I should hit up iHeartRadio. You and I hit up iHeartRadio and be like, listen, we already have a dynamic. We love playing music. Hire us.
Yeah, here we are. And with the stuck in the 80s part of the weekend or part of the trip, I really liked. Let My Love Open the Door is, I'm not going to say it's a favorite song, but it is like a powerful song. I actually feel as if it's got a great usage in Steve Carell led Dan in Real Life movie from about 15 years ago.
Yes.
And that's a great scene with it too. I was laughing when I heard "We Care a Lot" by Faith No More, because I can only think of the Russell Wilson clip of that. But the idea is like that is okay, very 80s. Now I can't say that like they use Blister in the Sun twice, and I like it, and it did make it serves as a reminder that like this is when this movie came out. But there were other things in here that I really liked. Obviously, you hear little snippets of stuff during the reunion where they're dancing to "Let It Whip" by Daz Band is fun. Take on Me, while Bob, the guy who keeps asking if you want to do some blow.
You want to do some blow?
Yeah. This is all fun stuff, and I saw that this is one of those soundtracks where they've got like the music in the film and then like the music inspired by the film, and so like both sides of that tape are great for an hour and a half, listen.
What do you say we hand out some awards, you guys?
Yes, sir.
Listo.
All right, Bryan, this is your dealer of choice. Do us the honors. Who is your MVP of Grosse Pointe Blank from 1997?
It's Cusack. I mean, I try not to be a fanboy of too many people, and I try not to say that everything they do is fairly sacrosanct, but I will say that this film is one of my favorite movies, and it is greatly due to his panache and how he goes about acting. And it didn't start with this. It very much started with
Better Off Dead?
Better Off Dead. But man, what it led to has always been good too. So, Cusack.
Yeah. Dustin, you going the same way?
I am going Cusack, but as a group with Tom Yankovic, Dive DeVincentis, and Steve Pink, this is the writing team. I thought this was a well-written idea. I thought it came to fruition with good performances. Like we talked about, the Minnie Driver said the script wasn't that funny, but the idea of putting these two worlds next to each other was something that was better than the sum of its parts. I think sometimes you might say, well, that's due to the director, but I thought that the idea of this, similar kudos can go to the late 2010s TV show Barry, with Bill Hader playing
Oh yeah,
an assassin who's trying to get back into the real world. Barry
is a great show.
Yeah, that doesn't, like, that its roots are in Grosse Pointe Blank, is try to get a hitman back into the world. That's not supposed to happen. So it happened here, and it was fun. So, writing team.
All right. And I'm going to follow suit. It was John Cusack. And if it wasn't sealed before, it has to do with when you read about how this movie was made. He was one of the drivers who said, we need to do better. And we
Minnie
can
was the
do
other
better.
one.
Yeah. Well, Cusack in particular was the one who went to the producers and got them the leeway to do so. And, you know, and you're right. She had the right chemistry with him. So, I mean, but...
No, I'm
great.
saying Minnie is literally a driver.
Sure.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Zing.
Cusack is great. He has pretty good range, actually, that I don't think I always stop and think I love Cusack as an actor necessarily, but generally when you stop and look at the filmography, you sit there and going, Bryan, you're like, wow, those are pretty high marks. Not every movie is necessarily the highest of high marks, but he is always good. So, best supporting actor. Now, this one might be a little tougher because there's a lot of good support in this one. Bryan.
So my supporting on this one is Minnie Driver. I feel like you have to have that back up to the I'm not fully comfortable with you coming back into my life, but I totally want you to come back to my life piece. And I feel like if you don't have that instant, yes, you're still back in my life, I accept it, but I'm going to make you pay, it becomes less hilarious.
I like it. All right. Dustin, best supporting actor.
I love Minnie Driver. As I said earlier, though, I didn't feel like the role was written for a big performance from her, like I've seen. Dan Aykroyd, though, great supporting role, but this character's kind of grating after a while. I think my best supporting goes to Alan Arkin as Dr.
Yes, I love that too.
He's
That's
so witty, so funny.
Alan Arkin is great in this one. I'm going to go with Joan Cusack. The phone conversations we have with her are quirky, weird, funny, and this movie would not be even half of what it is without her egging him on to go to this reunion. And I like their dynamic. Obviously, they too have past chemistry to work with. So, hidden gem, Bryan.
I feel like this is one of the earlier movies I saw Jeremy Piven in. Like I really struggled to like picture him in anything before this.
Did you see PCU before this?
I didn't do any IMDb like postscript, so
Got it.
I think this might have been my first Jeremy Piven. So under that auspice, hidden gem.
Sure. Okay. Dustin, how about you? Jeremy. Oh, sorry. Dustin, how about you?
Jeremy?
Hidden gem. Sorry, I was going to say, Dustin, what is your Jeremy Piven? No.
What is my Jidden Hem? Well, it's
No.
Paramigiven. No, I saw PCU before I saw this. I think Piven's great, but he's not my hidden gem. I thought there were nods to Pulp Fiction and The Warriors in this movie. Pulp Fiction, just with the two NSA guys having casual conversation and being funny in the car in the middle of their dangerous job. And second, with The Warriors, when you're introduced to Minnie Driver's character, they've got the great side profile shot of just her lips talking into the mic, very much like we'll call her the narrator of the Warriors movie. I was like, oh, that's got to be an homage. It's got to be. Plus, it's sexy. The Pulp Fiction thing goes even further. In the Ultimart, there is a cardboard standee of 4 of the characters of Pulp Fiction, and Bruce Willis's head gets blown off during the gunfight. So that would have been a cardboard standee that would have had to have been there for 2 whole years in order to make the timing right. But for a gas station convenience store, yeah, they leave stuff up all the time. So continuity-wise, it makes sense.
Nice. I can't help but call out the pen that Martin got from Ken the lawyer, and how that unforgiving dull moment was built into a great laugh. And so my hidden gem is the pen. It really is mightier than the sword. All right.
Especially since he left the gun in the drawer. Like, he's like, no.
Recast. If you had to recast somebody else and put somebody else in their place, Bryan, who's it going to be?
I want Shirley MacLaine as his mom. I wanted a little bit more gravitas to his mom, and I think like having someone really epically famous would have been better.
All right, I like it. Dustin, if you had to recast somebody else and put somebody else in their place, who would it be?
I loved most of our cast. I thought the guy who played Felix La Poubelle, the kind of psycho killer.
Yeah.
I thought he... I gotta say, Benny Urquidez, nicknamed the Jet. I didn't think his performance stood out to me, but it would have been the perfect time to have Baz Rutten in there as a menacing killer. I love it. Here's the thing, John Wick does it well. A lot of movies do it well, where you get like a pro athlete or you get like a professional wrestler to play like a heavy, to play a henchman or something. I would have liked Baz Rutten because he acted too in the 90s to be our.
I'm surprised you didn't like him because. Go ahead.
Well, no. Now that you say that, like I kind of feel like for some of these movies they have to have like a true musician, like have like Sting or somebody like Dune style.
Yeah, Dune style.
Like
it'd be cool.
I almost want
Henry Rollins.
Yeah. Well, Henry Rollins has done some stuff, but I feel like you need to have like the bass or the drummer for like the Who or something to like pop in here and just do a thing.
Well, with this much music, it might have been fun. Definitely to get somebody from the Clash.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you went this way with the recast, Dustin. Benny the Jet was actually a world champion kickboxer, the guy who did this. So he is also a kickboxer instructor there. So I figured you would appreciate his authenticity for being a real tough guy.
Well, I do, but his stage presence isn't the same as Baz.
Fair. Okay. So not got the acting chops.
You got a front, Russ.
Okay. My recast is going to go to Mitchell Ryan, who plays Debbie's dad. He's good. There's nothing wrong with what he does, but I'd like some bigger reactions here. I'd even like him to maybe just be a larger guy, so there's this dynamic of like, I like your daughter, kind of that awkward kind of thing going on there. So I'm going with John Goodman here for this.
Oh, okay.
So I think he would be a fun guy to save and to also have that understated reaction of like, oh, you're a killer. Okay, very nice then.
It's 97 though, man. Goodman is young.
I feel like maybe it's just because even when I was
I mean,
a
you
kid,
can make
Roseanne,
him
he
old.
feels older than he is to me necessarily. I feel like he could have pulled this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy to think that it's only 4 years later that he's playing the Bible salesman in "O Brother, Where Art Thou" from 2001.
What another great movie.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with Mitchell Ryan either. I'm just playing the game because it
Oh,
is a
yeah.
good cast.
Truly.
Best shot if you had to put somebody else in it. Sorry. Best shot if you had to pick a best cinematic moment. What's it going to be, Bryan?
I love the screeching down the street to save the dad.
It is fun.
And,
Yeah.
and I don't want to make it a scene thing, but it's the either I have a new respect for life or I'm in love with his daughter. And they say either he has a new respect for life, or
I laughed out loud. I thought that was so funny.
I don't want to I don't want to package that all into a shot, but it really was within 15 seconds of one another. So I was like, God, I love that.
I like that too. Dustin, how about your best shot?
Mine, it does something special for the movie, even though I don't think it's like that particular of a like spectacular artistic moment. It's when they're at the reunion, they're up in the balcony looking down at the crowd. And Bob, the coked up salesman, is like violently headbanging in the middle of the dance circle, just diagonally, just really going at it. And then he falls down. And I once again, I laughed out loud. It was so funny and goofy. And it's one of those where it's like, it reminds you that this movie is tapping into several places. It's tapping into several ways to have you enjoy. And like that character is on screen for 3 minutes, but somebody rocking out a little too hard at a 10-year reunion falling down, of course that happens. So it was smart writing there.
He's a great bully. My best shot's going to be, I mentioned it earlier, when Grocer and Martin are on either side of the kitchen window, and it's like a back-to-back on either side of a wall. And it's the two hitmen dueling each other. And shortly there, the feds come in, and then they both, like I mentioned, they load them up, pump them full of lead with glee as they get back to their intense interchange.
Look at that.
Yeah. So, best scene, Bryan.
It's the end shootout. I mean, it truly is the best. I love first off, the lead up of how he handles everybody else. And then you get this standoff between the two of them. And then you have the interruption where they kill other people. Follow up with not having any ammunition. And the hubris of Dan Aykroyd's character is saying, hey, I'll lend you a piece for 100 G's. Spot me? And he tosses it and slowly walks up like it's going to be a done deal, just get hit in the face with a TV. Like the hubris that goes along with, you have no gun, I'm going to slowly, I'm telling you, that was like snail snow. Like, who stands up in a gunfight that slowly just to get hit in the face with a television? And the quote, popcorn, and just hits him with it. Ah, God, it's a great scene. It's a great scene.
It is great. Dustin, how about you? Best scene.
It's the same scene. It's the final shootout, but it's a different aspect of it. It's the idea that he keeps popping back into the rooms or the spaces that Debbie and Dad are to talk over like what he's feeling and how he's thinking about like what his intentions are and all that stuff. Oh, by the way,
he's like, stop pointing that at me.
Yeah. And she has a funny line too, like, make this gun work.
And he's like, oh yeah, I got you. Still stop pointing it at me.
I love when he comes back at the end and he's pale and covered in blood. Like you can actually, like it's very realistic. Like it looks like he's like hanging in there by adrenaline.
And she's like, pop, 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 pop. It's like,
well, and he knew that like, oh wait, that's probably going to happen. So he ducks and covers. But the reason I like that is because in the middle of this action scene, they still go for it the director, like putting the scene together, they still go for it with, we're gonna add in the lines of dialogue. We're gonna add in the lines for this character who's just trying to recover from this awkward situation in the middle of a gunfight. You could have chosen it to be just gunfight. Instead, he's like, we're gonna keep adding in the comedy to this and have it be absurd, and that was great.
Yes, and my best scene, you guys have both kind of gone with the end scene, which I had as mine, but I also would like to call attention to the therapist scene with Dr. Oatman. It's outstanding. The whole thing's really funny. I love when he's saying, like, I have to turn, if I'm aware that you've committed a crime or plan to commit a crime, I'm ethically obligated to turn you in by law. And he's like, we're not going to do that. That would, can we just,
plus I know where you live.
Plus I know where you live. I was like, I don't like that.
No, it's not okay.
That's not okay. Like,
that's not ingenuous.
I just like that he had to threaten him to continue to have like a session, and he's just like, what is this, a half session? What are we doing here? Like, can we just pretend, please, that we have a normal patient-therapist relationship? And you can see the anxiety building on Arkin's face of just like, he looks like he's having an ulcer. Like, the whole thing is very...
I also like the end result of that, where he's like, yeah, I want you to take a deep breath and realize this is me firing you. And he's like beating the hell out of his answering machine. Like, that too is hysterical.
Yeah, I want to tell you that I cannot be your doctor because we have an emotional connection. Well, what is that? Well, I'm afraid of you because of what you do for a living.
Martin, when he's like, what do you say to the patients? How does it work? And Dr. Mann goes, he's like, aren't you supposed to ask me how I feel? He's like, fine. How do you feel? He's like, I'm feeling uneasy. I'm feeling dispassionate. I'm bored. I can't sustain interest. I have problems at work. Concept execution stuff. Just ill at ease. Well, Martin, I don't want to suggest anything that makes you uncomfortable, but you might just consider the possibility that your problem, or part of the thing that is making you so miserable, the angst over killing a lot of people. Just put that in the background. I mean, the whole thing has just got me laughing. I love it.
It's great.
It's really good.
Best wardrobe or makeup moment, Bryan.
Oh, dude, it's all his dapperness.
Yeah,
dude, his swagger is great in the entirety of this film.
Yep. I followed suit with you, and I definitely followed suit with what he was wearing. That's a look I go for, and I like it. Dustin, how about you?
I do like how his old teacher kind of gives him, like, nudges him by saying, like, "Oh, you're dressed like a mortician." Like, I thought that was pretty good. But I say, for me, my best wardrobe moment is Dan Aykroyd's Bellman's outfit at the very beginning of the movie, because it's kind of over the top, and it's setting you up for, we're not going to take this Hitman movie so serious. Prepare for this to weave in and out of believable. And, he's just, it's a little bit wacky / zany, and that's okay.
Change one thing. Bryan.
I think my biggest piece with changing this movie would be a slight shift. I feel like the comedy didn't really hit until a little bit later. I'd like something funny to happen before the initial hit. And it needs to be like a very sour, dry humor piece that hits. It's weird because, like, he does the thing and Dan Aykroyd messes it up, and that has like a maybe piece to it. But I feel like if something really funny happened in the intro, it would have been better.
Okay. Dustin, how about you? Change one thing.
I've actually got something for this. Me and Bryan did the cross-country mind meld. Maybe lean fully into the comedy of the Boudreaux story. The idea
Oh,
that
there you
the
go.
dog with the dynamite is that could have been very slapsticky. That could have been full of goofs and laughs.
I still
Could have
want
been
to
a
see a dog
curveball.
die.
Right. And maybe the
I don't know. It worked
millionaire's
pretty well
dog
for a
died.
fish called Wanda.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
But the idea is we've already seen two jobs go wrong, and they go wrong in a serious way. What if we have a flashback to, or we start the movie with a hit going wrong in a wild, zany way? That could be it.
I might be going towards this notion of what you're going to. I want to add another hitman in the role that's competing with the jet, Benny the Jet. I want to see another hitman who's been also paid simultaneously, and whoever gets him gets a very large fee, and so there's two people both coming after him in the mix. Or maybe just somebody who wants to work with Grosser and he doesn't think he can make it. And like, he's like, yeah, stop wasting my time. He's like, no, I can make the team. And like, he's like, well, kill Martin and then you're in, kind of thing. So I would like to see an inept person trying to kill Martin and have him just like, take his gun away from him. He's like, leave me alone, go home. So, like I would like to see, like you said, some hits gone wrong on Martin. Would be funny. Because and then he doesn't leave, like he's still calm, like this is just his world. So
A competing hitman is always fun.
yeah. Best quote, Bryan. A lot of stuff to choose from here.
I am going to go with, they all have husbands, wives, and children's, houses, dogs, and they've all made themselves a part of something you can talk about. And about what do you know? What am I going to say? I killed the president of Paraguay with a fork. How have you been?
It's really good.
I love that. I killed the president of Paraguay with a fork.
Dustin, how about you? Best quote.
Mine comes with a little preamble from Marcella. They're talking about like dying or something. Or they're talking about like having to get off the phone. And she says, yeah, we all have to go sometime, sir, but we can choose when. And he responds with a very cold, no one chooses when. That is a hard assassin line.
Nice.
He chooses when you die.
I'm going to do a little bit of a lead in as well, because you kind of alluded to this one earlier, Dustin, but when Dr. Oatman and Martin are in the session, the same one that I just mentioned, he says, can we pretend we have a normal patient-doctor relationship here? I ask you a piece of advice, you answer, like, should I even go to this reunion? Yes, get out of town. Go see some old friends, have some punch, visit, what's her name? Debbie? Yes, don't kill anybody for a few days. See what it feels like. I'll give it a shot. No, don't give it a shot. Don't shoot anything. Just that nervous nature of Arkin is brilliant on that scene. So, all right. We've come full circle on a 5-star scale with half-star intervals. Bryan, what do you rate Grosse Pointe Blank from 1997?
I forking love this movie. 5 stars.
He did it. He's a hard man to get 5 stars from, but he did it. I love it. Dustin, keep it going. What are you giving this movie?
I pointed out some things that I thought were maybe underutilized, maybe some things on the cutting room floor that could have brought a greater wholeness to the story. But the greater wholeness that I was seeking wasn't necessary. And I wasn't really seeking it that hard because the 103 minutes I got were like a perfect amount. Really liked it. So for a first watch, this is a 4.5. Very good.
All right. And this is in my top 100 comedies. I love this movie. It is a whole lot of fun. I don't know why I don't watch it more often. As I pointed out, maybe it's just when Grant gets older, I'll be able to pull all these things out off the shelf more often. We're not there yet. But I also have it at a 4.5. But just talking with you guys makes me have this big smile on my face. Rewatchability, probably over time. I'm just saying, it has 5-star potential to just go there. It has to do with sharing it sometimes with people that you like. And, when it's a winning movie, and I think I would enjoy watching it and sharing it with more people. So I think this probably will be a 5-star, like if you ask me later. But right now, I'm at a 4.5. But I love it.
I think it benefits from being in a genre that I mentioned it before. You mix comedy into the heist, you mix comedy into the robbery, comedy into the hitman world. It's a primed genre for movies being really good.
It's a
Yeah.
vibe. It's also like it's an attitude that every single person involved in the movie has bought into. Like everybody in this film bought into the attitude of this film.
Yeah, everyone enjoyed this, and they had to. You could tell that they bought in because they tried. We're talking about like the dialogue they might have ad-libbed in. They tried, and I think Russell, you sometimes talk about when you can see the fruits of the enjoyment on screen. I think we get that here.
Yeah. Now, who wants to help me pick a movie for next week?
I got your help, man. We are going into the future next week. These 3 movies are all set in the future. Option number 1, Back to the Future Part 2 from 1989. After visiting 2015, Marty McFly must repeat his visit to 1955 to prevent disastrous changes to 1985 without interfering with his first trip. Option number 2, Total Recall from 1990. When a man goes in to have virtual vacation memories of the planet Mars implanted into his mind, an unexpected and harrowing series of events forces him to go to the planet for real. Or is he? Option number 3, Mad Max Fury Road, 2015. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max. What's it gonna be?
Great Scott! We've got to go back to the future. Back to the Future Part 2.
All right. Good choice.
Can't believe we've gotten so far into the show without having covered one of these movies. I'm looking very forward to this.
Oh yeah, it seems like a pillar of retro movie.
Definitely. Thank you both for joining me tonight. This has been a blast.
Thank you,
all.
Bryan. Good choice.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you, all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. So subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @movie_retro. Or email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. And producing and providing this podcast is fun, but not free. So we invite you to support us on our show at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Retro Movie Roundtable. All contributions are much appreciated and will go towards making the show better for you, the listeners. As always, thank you for listening. Be good to each other and watch more movies. Bryan?
My ghost won't associate with your ghost.